Yeah, and it's pretty crazy because if Brent Caldwell was to look at me and said that I don't have a seatbelt, I'm going to court right away. But we look at him and we got evidence and nothing's happened. He walks around, free man. That's not fair. That's not just. That's not right. And if a citizen does have a complaint about a police officer, what's the proper procedure? I bet nobody knows. I bet there's no internal investigation. I bet there's no protocol. I bet there's no citizen complaint board. There's nothing. If a citizen's got a complaint, call Spike and he'll just say, well, it's a matter between two private parties. That's it. Sorry, he can't do nothing. But actually he can, because if two private individuals get into a scuffle and the victim says that they don't want to press charges, in the state of Kentucky, the prosecutor can press charges anyways on the victim's behalf. So if Spike cared about the people, then he would. While being in a small town, typically it seems like, the police, when there's no trouble, they can create trouble where it doesn't even exist. But a benefit of being in a small town is that we can keep tabs on each and every one of them. I think we got probably less than 20 police officers within the county that works within the county. Plus a couple of Kentucky State boys that like to come around here, and FBI, IRS, and any of those other federal government officials which just barge on in here, and Nelson Brown should tell them to stop. Nelson Brown can say, FBI stop, IRS stop. Nelson Brown can stop the IRS and the FBI from coming in. Donnie Gould for a supposed DUI, which later he was exonerated of. Donnie Gould's a diabetic. And that's why Xavier, who used to be a police officer here, he was being told who he could pull over and who he couldn't pull over. And he didn't like all the small town politics. The rule of law applies to everybody. You break the law, then you should pay the consequences. No one should be above the law. And as long as some people are still above the law and others aren't, then there is no rule of law. It's anarchy. And when it's anarchy, you've got to question the power structure. How are these men organizing themselves? City council do not, they aren't holding their police officers accountable. So are the police officers holding the city council accountable? The police officers just get to do whatever they want to do? Just like some renegade, military, rogue force? And if you hear what Spike's definition of what his job is, he says he works for the cops. He works for the police. Spike, the police work for you. You don't work for them, the police work for you. So you're the one that dictates what gets prosecuted and what does not, what you think are crimes and what is not crimes. It comes up to you. You don't work for the police, you work for truth, justice, the law. You work for what's right and what's good. You don't just prosecute the people that the police say, because what happens if one of the police officers is corrupt? Do they get prosecuted or do they get run around free as a bird? And with the Citizens Complaint Board and firing Brent Caldwell and putting criminal charges on, they didn't even vote for it. They didn't even vote. So, I mean, I guess if they did vote, they probably all. You have to assume that it would have been unanimously. They all voted no. So none of them agreed that there should be a rule of law in Warsaw, Kentucky. They don't think that there should be. And if you're a citizen and you got a complaint, sorry, there ain't nothing that can be done. You could go to the police officer and hopefully convince them that it's a criminal offense and then get them to file the charges. But if it's just up to the citizens, you ain't got no place to go. You got no place to file any complaints in the city of Warsaw if you are a citizen. And that is by design. That's intentional. And it's a little bit odd how, Donnie Gould and Jamie Gould would send John Kane on this wild goose chase, and when it comes time to put it out to the public, then they hide behind the shadows and act like they had nothing to do. It was almost like they led Kane over the cliff and just let him take all the heat, while they pretend like they had nothing to do with it, when they had everything to do with it. And we should call that shelter in the park the Homeless Veterans Shelter. And we should all have parties over there. Jerry Sample's Homeless Veterans Shelter. Name it in his honor. So that he did not serve and die in this country for absolutely nothing. And Jackie, if you want to talk about good faith basis for putting sidewalks in, you talk about putting all these sidewalks in. Why did you put a sidewalk in? You don't have any sidewalks on Smith Avenue, and you don't have any sidewalks over by Meadow Creek. Meadow Creek isn't just Meadow Creek sidewalks, because you got a soccer field, and you've also got the water treatment plant back there, which are both government entities. Connect the government road to the government entities. That's your job, Jackie. That's something you should have done. I've also heard that you've gotten rid of Cracker Barrel, McDonald's, Save-A-Lot. It's like a business tries to come in here and you don't like it, then you reject it. Being on council, you'd want to encourage economic growth. You want more population, more business, and you want to be able to regulate it so that way it doesn't get out of hand. You don't want to cut everybody's throat off. The mission isn't to keep everything exactly the same, because that's never going to be possible. Every day things are changing. Every day. And another thing, your biggest deal, not only with the sidewalks, but the school system. Brandon Terrell, you're talking about the school system. We're bringing these people in here with our kids. Well, you know, yeah, but $3.6 million. $3.6 million. That's how much money Jackie Giles and the entire city council, the mayor and the entire city council has stopped Warsaw from getting. $3.6 million. And you want to talk about the sidewalks, you want to talk about the parks, the lighting, and here's what you do. You say, okay, we'll agree to phase 2 as long as you agree to put a sidewalk in, as long as you agree to put a park in, as long as you agree to put some lighting in, fix the plumbing, fix the gutters, fix the dishwasher. But instead of doing that, you'd rather choke Meadow Creek, and you'd rather keep on making them poorer and poorer and poorer, and making the whole thing just fall apart to where the whole thing's just crash. Because Jackie Giles, you were against it from day one. You were against it from day one because it was right next to your house. And that's it. And for anybody who's ever been out to a ghetto, that's not a ghetto. Meadow Creek isn't even close to ghetto. Go to over the Rhine, that's a ghetto. But right now, with the way that city council is treating Meadow Creek, it's going to turn into a ghetto. That's what they're doing. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They want it to be a ghetto. They're not going to help. They're not going to have any money. They will just, all they had to do is say yes. That's it. That's all they had to do. Yes. Can we put money into your community? Yes. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're trying to make a ghetto where one does not exist. That is not ghetto. Yeah, they're using the excuse that we're flooding the school systems up. That's why we can't allow, $3.6 million to go into the city of Warsaw, because it's going to mess all the schools up. That's not true at all, because you know how the school gets paid? Attendance. The more kids you get in, the more money that school gets. And instead of investing in God. And if you're so concerned about the students in our school, how come there's no student representative on the school board? You don't care about the students, you're just using the kids as an excuse for what it is that you're trying to do, which is turn Meadow Creek into a ghetto. That's what the city council of Warsaw is trying to turn Meadow Creek into a ghetto. And if you think that it's only going to be isolated to Meadow Creek, think again. There's lots of apartment complexes around here, and if they want to expand, are they going to try to stop them too? Or what if they do stop Meadow Creek and they make it into a ghetto? What's next? Okay, it becomes run down. Nobody wants to live there. The ghetto's got to go somewhere else. So then where does it go? You're not going to get rid of people. And if you're so worried about the funds for the education, how many grants have you written? How many grants have you put forth for the classrooms, for the teachers? You want more classrooms? You want more teachers? Write a grant. You'll get it if you're worried about flooding, getting too many people in the school systems. And they already did a market study. There's a demand here. People want to live here. They want to have an apartment to go to. Where are they going to go? If there's no new apartments going to be built, where are they going to go? And not to mention this Meadow Creek business, like 5 years ago, it was already accepted. Isn't that a breach of contract when you say, hey, I'm going to build a house and I'm going to build a garage, and then you build a house and then they say, whoa, 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 you can't build that garage. But you told me I could build a house and a garage 5 years ago. Why can't I build a garage now? Oh, we're trying to run you out of town. That's why. And not to mention there's 3 or 4 black people over there, and and it seems pretty ironic since there's about like 3 or 4 black people over there, and the entire police force, the entire city council, the mayor, everybody is all white males. All white males telling black people they can't live here. Black people, poor people,